You've been working out, hitting the gym, watching your diet, but that lean 50% body fat still seems so far out of reach. Now, does that sound familiar? Because here's the truth. Around 98% of people are making the exact same mistakes that are keeping them stuck. Now, if you can spin your wheels and not see results, chances are you're going to be falling under one or more of these 7 traps, which we're going to talk about today. But don't worry, I've got you covered. In this video, I'm going to break down the 7 biggest mistakes holding you back from hitting that 50% body fat, and I'm going to tell you to fix it starting today. What's up, guys? Rich here from Fit Brotherhood, and I help men over 30 lose that starting belly fat, build muscle, and finally achieve the physique that you've been chasing. Now, today, we're going to talk about the 7 most common mistakes men make when you're trying to hit that 50% body fat. So whether you're just starting out or you're stuck in a plateau, these are the things you need to know. That way you avoid wasting time, effort, even a lot of energy. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what's holding you back, but more importantly, how to fix it so you can finally make that progress and get down to 50% body fat. You ready? Let's dive in. Mistake number 1, you're trying to do an unsustainable diet. Because here's the thing, cut out carbs, eating 1,200 calories a day, or stick to some super extreme meal plan might seem the fastest way to lose fat, but let's be honest. Can you really keep it up for the next 6 months, let alone the rest of your life? If your diet isn't sustainable, neither are your results. And let me give you an example to really kind of paint a picture for you, a bit of an analogy here. Let's say at work, you had to work 3 months straight, no days off, nonstop. Could you do it? You probably could, but it would suck, right? You can kind of grind through it, but you want to make extra money for your family, you want to support yourself and your family, you can really push through. However, if someone said, can you work every single day for the rest of your life and take no days off? There's no way you can sustain that, right? It's the exact same thing when it comes to diet. And I think there's a lot of time where we start to break down. We do something so unsustainable, we achieve that short-term result, but then I'm like, oh fuck, like I can't achieve this long-term. And next thing you know, we get overwhelmed and we start creeping in bad habits into a routine. Think of the work example. You can do it for a little bit, but you can do it long-term. What you need to do is find an eating plan that really resonates for you. And I'll link a video maybe above or at the end that you can kind of go through it. I'm not going to get too much information right now, but basically you want to figure out 2 different ways, 2 different methods I recommend. Number 1, the first way you can do is kind of set it up to make sure that you're not restricting any of your foods. So we call this our weekend warrior method. And you can basically kind of set this up 1 higher calorie day a week. I'll link a video that we can kind of watch it and kind of go through it. Or the second way we call eat like a king. It's more like bigger meals that kind of keep you full. Regardless, you're going to pick an eating system that works for you. If you're doing something that's not sustainable, you're going to be burnt out and it's probably not going to last in the long term. So mistake number 1 is trying to do that unsustainable diet. Mistake number 2, you have no idea how many calories you're actually eating. Now you can manage what you don't measure. And if you're not really tracking your calories or you're just underestimating what you're actually eating, you're probably eating a lot more than you think. And even these healthy foods that you're taking in can actually have a lot more calories than you think. It can actually derail your overall calorie deficit. Now to give you an example, think of like in baseball. If you're a baseball guy, if you had a blindfold on and you went to the plate, you're probably not going to do too well, right? You take a couple of cuts, maybe make contact randomly, but it's probably going to go very well. It's the same thing when you just say, like, I'm eating healthy. When you're eating healthy, like, what does it even mean? You're just kind of like really guessing at calories, and you need more of a proven system to know actually how many calories you're taking in. Because some of those foods like avocados, nuts, whatever it may be, those healthier foods, they have a large number of calories in them. And if you're having a shitload of those foods, then you're probably just gonna be gaining weight and you're underestimating how many calories you're actually taking in. So the analogy and then the line I like to say is shift your mindset from eating healthy to eating the right way. And eating the right way is dialing your calories, dialing your protein, and actually have some of those foods that you enjoy. It makes you kind of factor it into your calorie budget. And it goes back to Ty's point number 1 is it's gonna be a lot more sustainable for you as well. You can actually do it long term. So mistake number 2, you have no idea how many calories you're taking in. If you're not losing weight, if you're stuck at a plateau, make sure you're tracking pretty good. That way you have a good idea. And if you do that, I guarantee you'll bust over this plateau. Mistake number 3, you're relying on apps that count calorie burn. So for example, let's say you trust your smartwatch or a fitness app when it says you burn 600 calories in your workout. But here's the problem with that. Those numbers are often way off, and overestimating calorie burn is one of the biggest mistakes when it comes to fat loss, because people just think they burn a lot more calories than they think, and we tend up overeating more because of that. Now, counting on your smartwatch to track your calorie burn is almost like trusting your car's fuel gauge when it's broken. If those numbers aren't accurate, you're basically gonna end up running out of gas, or in this case, you're gonna wonder why your fat loss has stalled. Another big reason, I talk about this a lot, why you shouldn't even focus on burning calories is when you focus on the exercise to burn calories, it only makes about 5 to 10% of how many calories you burn in a given day. So number 1, you're relying on these things to count calories that are inaccurate. And number two, you're relying on something that you probably want to be something a little more efficient in. Let the nutrition take care of the fat loss for you. Don't get caught up in these calorie burners because trust me, they're often wrong. And the third thing, like I said, it's a very small percentage of how many calories you burn in a day. So just make sure you aren't spending a lot of those efforts on how many calories I burn in a given workout because it's a very small percentage of the pie. That's mistake number 3. Mistake number 4, your protein's too low. Now, for a lot of guys that come into our program, I think this is the main issue they have is getting their protein up. Dropping the calories really isn't a problem, relatively speaking. It's more dropping the calories, but actually increase the protein that goes along with it. And that's not good because we need 2 things if we're trying to start belly fat. Number 1, obviously we gotta make sure our calories are dialed in, but number 2, we gotta make sure our protein's good. Because we want fat loss, not just weight loss. The last thing we want to do is lose a lot of weight, but a shit ton of muscle that comes with it. So you got to make sure your protein's dialed in. Now, think like protein is almost like the foundation of a house. And without it, the structure is basically, it's not going to hold up. And everything you're building, like your muscle, your recovery, your fat loss, it's going to start crumbling down. So you got to make sure your protein is really dialed in along with the calories. If you need more protein options, I'll link it in the comments below. You can grab it. I'll put our protein cheat sheet. It's 40 recipes you can basically just grab because you want to drop your calories, yes, lose fat, but trust me guys, don't miss out on keeping your protein high because you're gonna get that skinny fat look once you drop the weight down, and that's the last thing you want, right? So mistake number 4, protein is just a little bit too low. Mistake number 5, too much cardio, not enough weight training. I kind of talked about before in the calorie burner that exercise only makes up 5 to 10% of how many calories we burn in a given day. This is why we don't want to spend too much effort on cardio, and we want to shift our mindset from burning calories to protecting our muscle at all costs when we're trying to lose fat. Because here's the thing. Muscle is a big part of our BMR, our metabolism, and that makes about 70% of how many calories we actually burn in a given day. So we focus on the 70% number in terms of keeping our muscle in a fat loss phase, opposed to the 5 to 10% number, which is burning calories. Then that's your game changer, that's your shift right there. And I promise you're gonna dominate 2025. Now, Ken, one of our clients, which I'll show you before and after, he kind of made a mistake. He did a lot of cardio. Obviously, there's nutrition habits we had to fix as well, but he's doing a lot of cardio and he lost a lot of muscle, gained weight back, and just kind of yo-yo diet for a long period of time. Once we just kind of shift his mindset from, okay, get your protein up, let's focus on weight training the gym to protect your muscle, that's why he lost about 50 pounds of fat, and that's how he's keeping off to this day and still thriving. So make that change, cardio to weights, focus on the 7% number, your BMR, which is your muscle, opposed to the 5 to 10% number, burning calories, and I guarantee you, your belly will go bye-bye in 2025. Mistake number 6, going 0 to 100. You know what I'm talking about, right? Most guys, what they want to do is like day 1 of their fat loss journey, it's like, I want to work out 6 times per week, I want to do cardio, I want to drop my calories like crazy, I want to eat all this protein. They're trying to do 100 things at once, and they're trying to go full throttle, so they're hitting the gas pedal as fast as they can right away. But oftentimes they burn out down the road because you just can't sustain it. It kind of goes back to point number 1, which I'm talking about. What you need to do is stack small wins to begin your journey, and then you start hitting the gas pedal a little bit more as you start stacking the small wins and as you start building momentum. Now, I don't know if you ever did like cross-country racing or track and field back in the day. I used to be a long-distance runner, believe it or not, and it's the analogy of like, remember that kid who always like sprinted to start and like, oh man, this guy's crushing, he's in first place, but I'm like, 30% of the races, and he's like done. He can't move. He's like collapsed, and he's basically walking the rest of the race. That's some of what happens when we go 0 to 100 in terms of fat loss journey as well. You might start off great for a few weeks or a month or 2, and maybe you're watching this and like, yeah, that's me. But then all of a sudden you just die off and you just stop doing it because you're overwhelmed. It's just too much for you, and you quit. So make sure you just have those small wins first. Don't go 0 to 100. It is important to get those small wins the first few weeks to build momentum. So what I recommend doing is, instead of, let's say, working out like 5 times per week, do 3 to 4. Instead of trying to walk like over 10,000 steps per day, maybe get like 7 to 8. Let's say if you have like 100 grams, let's say you have like 80 grams of protein, maybe bump it to 100 grams. And let's say you have like 3,000 calories, maybe bump it down like 2,500. So all the things that you're trying to improve on, but nothing's like too drastic or too crazy. And then you have room and effort and energy to hit the gas pedal later on your fat loss journey, when you are stuck at that plateau, which it will happen. So make sure you're not going 0 to 100. That's mistake number 6. Let's get to the last mistake number 7. It's the most underrated thing, so make sure you don't skip this out. All right, mistake number 7, and by far the most overlooked thing is just zero accountability, and you're trying to do it by yourself. Now, most guys, we're extremely prideful, and we don't like asking for help. We have all a bit of an ego to us, right? At least I do myself, and we're pretty stubborn when it comes to that. But believe me, a lot of the times it just gets in the way of actually getting the result you're looking for. In this case, trying to get down to that 15% body fat. Now, when I say accountability, there's two main things I recommend in terms of accountability and what you want to do. The first way you can do, just do it with like a friend, family member, partner, whatever it may be. If you're going to the same journey as like your best friend, family member, partner, it just makes it so much easier because you're on the same wavelength, and then you just use each other, kind of help each other and push each other through those tough times. Because believe me, there's been times like in January where it's cold out, or it's like the weekend, you're not going to feel like eating properly, or maybe you just want to skip workout. If you have that person there that's on the same journey with you, you're going to want to continue to go and push because you don't let the other person down. And it goes both ways, so vice versa as well. And the second thing you could do as well is just join a community or have a coach. And this is why we literally built our Fit Fusion Brotherhood community. We used to do what I used to do. We used to have like one-on-one with an app I used to have with the guys back in the day. And don't get me wrong, they saw good results, but we really changed our philosophy from one-on-one where it's just like me and them talking to, okay, let's get them into a community full of people in the same journey with them and everyone's interacting. We have more group calls, more check-ins, everything like that. I noticed the results just skyrocketed because you're trying to do well for your peers. They're motivating you, you're motivating them, and you just don't want to let each other down. So when I say accountability, pick one of those two things ideally, but either do it with like a friend, family member, or a partner, and or join a program or get a coach, because the last thing you want to do is try to do it by yourself. It just makes it so much harder to do, and don't be stubborn. So believe me on that. I guarantee you it's going to make getting down to 50% body fat so much easier in 2025 if you have that accountability. So to recap, the 7 reasons. So reason number 1, remember, you're trying to do an unsustainable diet. So remember, don't go crazy. Don't try to cut carbs down to 0 and cut your calories down to like 1,200. Number 2, you're relying on those counting calorie apps. So again, a lot of those times they just overestimate how many calories you actually burn to give a workout. Number 3, you're actually have no idea how many calories you're taking in. Not good. So make sure you have an idea if you're not losing fat. So make sure to monitor that. Number 4, your protein's too low. Number 5, too much cardio, not enough weight training. Again, we want to focus on protect your muscle in that fat loss phase. Number 6, going 0 to 100. Don't be that guy. And reason number 7, you have that 0 accountability. Now, like I said, I'm going to link a document below in terms of 40 protein recipes that you can choose from. So I'll link that in the comments. Feel free to grab it. I'll also link another video at the end that kind of helps and tie in this video. I'm not sure which one I'm going to link yet. I'll figure it out when I post it and edit it. And you can check that out as well. But it just kind of continue with your journey to make sure you get down to that 10 to 50% body fat and dominate 2025. Thanks for watching to the end. If you liked it, please like, subscribe. It helps me. It helps a lot. And I appreciate you checking out my videos today. We'll talk soon.